So this is how I see it. Trump right now is winning the nomination process. He's winning far and away, 40 points ahead.
No question.
Joe Biden is trying to have him jailed. That is Biden's Justice Department. Make no mistake about it. Jack Smith answers to Merrick Garland, who answers to Joe Biden. Biden's trying to have Trump jailed. Biden's corruption as vice president, sitting vice president, is starting to come out. He's being exposed. And frankly, the folly of the first Trump impeachment is being exposed day by day, because you recall that that's what Trump was trying to call attention to, the Biden corruption in Ukraine, and whether there would be a real investigation into that before we started giving them more money. That's the landscape right now. The media has only one story, and that is back to damn January 6th, which we've already fully investigated, not once, but twice, with a second impeachment and full congressional hearings, including primetime exposés that we were subjected to. This is a political issue. It's not a federal crime, no matter what Jack Smith tries to tell us. He's got a compliant media. And all this happens as we have a New York Times poll showing Trump is far and away the leader when it comes to getting this nomination on the GOP side. He's extremely strong with every group. And yet he's tied with Joe Biden in a general election. Both men remain extremely unpopular, Trump for all the various reasons, and Biden because of his age and his economy. So the Democrats, I'm sure, would love to sub out Biden and sub in a new person. Right now, they're stuck with him. He's vulnerable because of those reasons. And they are doing everything in their power, they and their media allies, to focus everyone again on January 6th, in particular the riot, which really has nothing to do with the Jack Smith indictment, though he tried to shoehorn it in for color. What do you make of it all?
Well, I'm finding it fascinating. I mean, I've spent most of my career as a writer of crime stories and inventing villains and inventing corrupt schemes. And corruption has always been really fascinating to me, the way it not just moves through the human spirit, but the way it moves through human systems. And there comes a point when a system becomes so corrupt that the corruption becomes purposely blatant, because the corruption itself becomes an instrument of power. And that's where we are with the DOJ. Ever since Hunter Biden's sweetheart deal collapsed in court, when the judge realized that they had shoehorned in an immunity clause in a place where she wasn't supposed to see it and couldn't do anything about it once it was in place. The question of whether Biden's DOJ is corrupt is no longer a question. It is actually an established fact. We now see that they have slow-walked Hunter Biden's crimes so that the statute of limitations have run out, where they position indictments of Donald Trump to come right after any time Biden's corruption is exposed. It's followed by an indictment or piling on more charges onto an indictment. They're acting openly political. And the message is essentially, we're doing this not because it's right, not because it's important. We're doing this because we can. That's the message they're sending to the public. And when they're surrounded by a news media that has also become ideologically corrupt and is willing to cover up Biden's malfeasance and his lifelong corruption and focus only on Donald Trump's faults and the indictments as if they were true, where this latest indictment is utterly ridiculous. We have the problem that the people, the good people, the straight people who are watching this really can't believe their eyes. They can't believe they're seeing what they're seeing. And the only people who are stating clearly just how corrupt the Biden administration and the DOJ has become are the same people who come up with kind of kooky conspiracy theories. So the same guys who think that Barack Obama just strangled his chef because he didn't like the avocado toast are the people saying, oh my God, this DOJ is utterly, utterly corrupt. And that's a problem, because now ordinary people are saying, well, is this a conspiracy or a conspiracy theory? It's not true that, I don't think, that Obama strangled his chef, but it is true that the DOJ is absolutely corrupt. And this is even true of people that I deeply respect and admire, guys like Tucker Carlson, who's doing great work and just got an exclusive interview with Devin Archer that's terrific, and it's on Twitter. But Tucker has also come out and said that we now know for sure that the government is hiding spacecraft with alien bodies in it. And so when you do that, and then you go and say, oh yeah, and here's Devin Archer, and he has actually established pretty clearly and pretty much beyond argument that Biden and his son have been colluding in corruption and in influence peddling, it muddies the waters. I mean, it's part of the information crisis that the internet has created, that we have such a gusher of information coming from so many different sources that it's really hard to pin down the truth. from this moment, from the moment Hunter Biden's sweetheart deal collapsed, the DOJ's corruption and the fact that the DOJ is handling one set of charges one way and another set of charges another way, it's just an established fact. And at this point, the only thing we can hope for is that the public basically reacts by throwing the bums out. Because you're right, Donald Trump is very popular with the Republican base, but he is incredibly unpopular with the middle of the voters who basically establish the results of an election. And Biden, I'm not even convinced that Biden is going to be the candidate anymore. I don't see how he can possibly go on. So this is a really interesting point. It's a real moment of change when our government is now established at the highest level to be corrupt and to be acting corruptly and to have thrown out the rule of law for political purposes, as if we were in South America rather than North America. And the question is, will the voters have someone they can select and are willing to select to make that stop? It's a dangerous moment.
Against all this, we get news that Ron DeSantis and Gavin Newsom are going to do a debate hosted by Hannity, a 2-hour debate that I presume will air on Fox News. And that's fascinating, right? Because these guys are obviously on deck in case the leaders fall, in case Trump's in jail and can't run, in case Biden, God forbid, dies or is just incapacitated or realizes he can no longer do the job and gets ousted by his party. These are the two guys who are realistically on deck. It's not RFKJ. It's certainly not Marianne Williamson over on the Dem side. And on the Republican side, though the voters prefer Trump to DeSantis, DeSantis is an acceptable alternative. He's got some 65% or approval rating amongst Republicans. They like him. It's not like they can't stand DeSantis. They just prefer Trump. So if Trump, for some reason, isn't going to do it, now you have the two also-rans about to go head-to-head in what I think will be a really fascinating exchange. I think it's a very smart move by both of them to sort of remind their respective electorates, I'm here and I stand for all the things you love, but I'm young and I'm vibrant and I may have political baggage of the kind any politician has. Hey, here's how I governed Florida. I don't like it. Here's how I governed California. I don't like it. That's normal. But I don't have all the other baggage like I'm corrupt and so is my son. I may have sold the vice presidency. And Trump, we could go down the list of the number of things he's done or been accused of.
Beyond this is the debate I feel we should be having. Here are two people in exemplary states that are perfect examples of the results of their policies. California is a mess. I just got back from there. The place is riddled with crime, riddled with homelessness. Nothing works. Everybody's leaving, and they're going to Florida. So this is a great moment for the governor of Florida and the governor of California to be arguing with one another. I know people don't want to hear any more about the lockdowns and about COVID and Dr. Fauci. People have lost interest in that. But their history and how they got through that is a history of oppression in California and a history of growing freedom in Florida. I mean, Florida is a place that I can barely stand because of the heat. Everybody I know has moved to Florida and they love it. They just absolutely adore it. So that is, if we care about the country, if we care about the future of the country, that's the real debate we should be having. And I just want to add, too, that DeSantis had a really rough launch to his campaign. I called it out the minute it happened. I said, this guy is not doing well on the national stage. He's turned a corner. Now, he hasn't gone down the new street yet, but he's actually turned a corner. He looks a lot different than he did starting out, and he is beginning to make his case a lot more smoothly and a lot more clearly. And he's beginning to realize that he has got to stop talking to the choir, and he's got to start going on, with George Stephanopoulos and the other leftists, and show what he is when he is confronted with the left, because that's what people really love about him. They love two things about him. They love, one, that he's a culture warrior, and two, he's a genuinely competent governor. He actually puts things back together when they fall apart. And he's smart, he's a veteran, and he's all the things you should be to be a politician like that. And as you say, he's young. I am so tired of being governed by people in their 70s and 80s.
This summer, big box retailers are seeking a massive big government handout from Congress, paid for by consumers, smaller financial institutions, community banks, and local credit unions. That's according to the Electronics Payment Coalition, a sponsor of today's episode. It's called the Credit Card Competition Act, aka the Big Box Bill. Mega retailers are in favor of it, but the Electronics Payments Coalition is not. They say this big box bill would actually transfer billions from consumers to retailers through eliminating popular credit card rewards programs, weakening cybersecurity protections, and reducing overall access to credit for people who need it the most. You can visit stopthebigboxbaitandswitch.com to learn more. That's stopthebigboxbaitandswitch.com. The link is in the description. Learn more, and if you want to help them, tell your legislator to stand up to the retail giants and to support consumers and small businesses. Hey, thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.